As I'm sure you guys are probably aware of by now, and for those of you who don't, Pokemon have officially made the announcement that the early rotation will come into play. This means that of the 1st of July onwards, cards before the Heart Gold Soul series set would not be allowed to use in competitive play. There should be a link within the description box below for those of you who want to check out the official page. Although it's irrelevant to us, this also means that the US Nationals will also be playing the new format. So bringing us to this week's episode, we will be reviewing some of the older cards, e.g. the ones that we liked, the ones that we didn't like, and the ones that we're just happy we'll never have to see again. And also we'll be looking at some of the newer cards, so that if you are involved in competitive play, these are the cards that are going to be really popular and you're probably going to see a lot of. So, let's get to it. Moving on, here's some of the cards we're not too concerned about getting rotated. Card number 1, Expert Belt. With Reshiram and Zekrom being at 130 HP, plus power is definitely probably the way to go. Although Expert Belt gives you a plus 20 HP and will do 10 more damage than the plus power, you probably won't need to worry about the horrible after effects providing you get knocked out with an Expert Belt attached to your Pokemon. Card number 2, Bebe Search. This isn't really a major loss to us, strictly because it will be replaced by the Professor Elm's training method. Although it doesn't allow you to search out a basic, it's still pretty much the same thing, and the likelihood is that people will probably be maxing out on the Pokemon communications. Card number 3, Palmer's Contribution. It will probably be most likely replaced by a variant of cards, most likely being the Flower Shop Lady. Both very similar but have slight variations.
Looking back, there were definitely certain cards in the format that most top decks ran. We'll be looking at these, especially these 3 that are getting rotated out. Let's start with Sableye. Sableye had a number of good things going for it last format, the first one being its attack, Impersonate. For a free attack cost, Impersonate allows you to grab a supporter from your deck, discard it, and use the effect of the supporter as its main attack. Now this is great for setting up, especially if you use cards like Pokemon Collector or BB Search, which allowed you to grab basics, or even just any Pokemon from your deck to set up for the next turn. The other great thing with Impersonate was that because of its free attack cost, it was splashable in almost any deck. This allowed for additional consistency in these decks in grabbing Pokemon on the first turn. The second great thing with Sableye was its Pokebody, Overeager. Overeager allowed you to go first if Sableye was your active Pokemon at the beginning of the game, regardless of the coin flip. Going first in a Majestic Dawn and On format wasn't anything to brag about due to the fact that you couldn't actually play any supporters or trainers on the first turn. But looking at the new black and white rules, since you're able to play a supporter on the first turn now, pairing that with Sableye's ability and attack, that would allow you to go first as well as set up an additional supporter with the attack Impersonate. Now you might think this is great, allowing every deck to pretty much set up to its full potential very quickly. We don't actually mind seeing Sableye go though this format, due to its second attack, Overconfident. Overconfident has a base damage of 10, when you might think it's not that great. But for the 1 Darkness energy, the text of it is, if the defending Pokemon has fewer remaining health points than Sableye, this attack's base damage becomes 40. This deck became more prominent with the newly implemented black and white rules. This is especially seen in the US and UK Battle Roads as well as the UK Nationals with an increased percentage of play with Sabeldonk. This is why we don't really feel that we're going to miss Sableye from the next format. Now let's take a look at Broken Time Space, or BTS. BTS allowed you to evolve a Pokemon on the same turn that was played. Now this is a much loved and hated card last format. Broken Time Space allowed for stage 2s to get set up very quickly. Now this wasn't exactly the main problem though. What Broken Time Space did last format was increase the amount of donking. Broken Time Space allowed for quick evolutions or for low energy cost Pokemon like Gyarados, Machamp, or Donphan to quickly evolve and get the quick knockout for a donk. This card was virtually run in every single deck even with only stage 1 evolutions, showing how popular and yet overpowered this card was. We therefore don't really think that anyone will miss this card for the next format either. Finally, let's take a look at Warp Point. Warp Point allowed you to switch your active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon and forcing your opponent to do the same. Now this card isn't exactly overpowered or comparable to cards like Sableye or Broken Time Space due to the fact that it's not used in every single deck. But Warp Point certainly has its merits. First off, it benefits yourself. It's practically a built-in switch into the card. But on the other hand, it provides a decent amount of disruption, allowing you to possibly get a cheap prize in case your opponent only has one bench Pokemon. Even if they don't have only the one bench Pokemon, it could still be a very good use of disruption, forcing them to bring something out that they're only setting up. Warp Point was also instrumental in donking last format. Paired with Seeker, it allowed you to grab one of your opponent's bench Pokemon, force it to the active position, and return the previously active Pokemon to the hand. This allowed you to KO a weaker bench Pokemon and possibly claim the match. Finally, Warp Point was a very versatile card last format. Looking ahead to the Heart Gold Soul Silver On, the only cards that could compare to Warp Point would be Switch or Pokemon Reversal, which required a coin flip. Along with its usefulness, as well as the fact that it was two cards built into one, this allowed for decks to free up space and put any sort of tech or additional cards into the deck. Warp Point was very essential in certain decks, and therefore we don't exactly mind it going as well.
Finally, these are some of the cards that will definitely be missed. Probably the most missed card will be Uxie. Uxie was a staple card in most competitive decks, as its ability set up meant that decks could draw the cards they needed to increase the consistency and speed of the deck. What also made Uxie so great was using cards such as Super Scoop Up and Seeker, so players could use their hand up and reuse Uxie by putting it back on the bench. A card that went hand in hand with this card was Uxie Level X. Admittedly, Uxie had to be your active Pokemon to level up Uxie, but its ability meant that each of your turns you could look at the top two cards and put one of them into your hand and the other to the bottom of your deck, making it a great card to use last format. Another card that we missed is Luxury Ball for the following reasons. Firstly, it allows you to search your deck for any Pokemon card excluding Level X Pokemon and add it to your hand. The one problem with Luxury Ball is that you only really want one in your deck, as if there are any in your discard pile, you cannot use another. Finally, Azelf. This card's ability allows you to look at your prizes and pick a Pokemon in your prizes and replace it with one of your cards in your hand. This meant that you can firstly look at your prizes to know what you're missing in your deck, and secondly, you can switch a Pokemon from your prizes with any card in your hand.
Although there are many other cards that will be rotated out next format, we feel that we covered all the main staples that people are going to miss. We will be discussing essential Heart Gold Soul Silver On staples in the next video, so be sure to tune in. If you feel we've left any sort of cards out from this video, or if you have any comments or suggestions, just let us know with a message below. But thanks for watching guys, and we'll see you guys next time.